Welcome to another episode of War Machines. After this episode, we will officially be 2/3 of the way through the opening round of this tournament. In the first 5 episodes, we have seen the defending champs show that they will not go down easy. Several returners show that they are looking to go a few steps further than the previous season, and several newcomers show that they have what it takes to win the whole thing for themselves. We will see several more returners and newcomers in this fight card, and let's now see who is on this one. Leading off the night, we have 2 returners from War Machines last season, as we will see the drum spinner of Yeti take on the flipper of Lucky. Second, we have 2 returners over in the Robot Wars mod, where we'll see the wedge of Cherub take on the flipper of Eruption. Up next, we have the drum spinner of El Diablo, who will take on the powerful flipper of T-. Then fourth, we have 2 more newcomers here. We got Dystopia and their powerful flipper. They will take on the lifter and the wedge of Sewer Snake. Our 5th fight of the night that you will not want to miss features the axe of Hello There, who will take on the vertical spinner of Lockjaw. Fight number 6 is between the return of the wedge of Breakerbox and one of the most devastating spinners in the competition, the vertical spinner of Cobalt. Our first highlight fight of the night features the full body spinner of Kronos, who will take on the crusher of Petunia. 2 more returners are in the next one, as we'll see the drum spinner of Tuberg Too Furious and the full body spinner of Shellshock. Then we got the Thwackbot of Slap Happy, who will take on Storm 2 and their low to the ground on wedge and lifter. Following that, we have the flipper of Bullfrog, who will take on the spike of Mr. Nasty. Our last highlight fight of the night features the hammer of Jasper, who will take on the vertical spinner of Ribot. The next fight you will not want to miss features one of the largest spinners in the competition. We got the giant vertical spinner of Deep 6, who will take on the crusher of Unconscious 514. Next, we have the vertical spinner of Holy Driver, who will take on the axe and the lifters of Mad Catter. Following that, our second to last fight of the night features the full body spinner of the Revolutionist, who will take on Hammer Robot Shunt. And last but not least, we have our main event, which is between the full body spinner of Gigabyte, who will take on the vertical spinner, and the lifter of Whiplash. That main event should be a lot of fun. I am very much looking forward to this fight card. We have another great lineup here for you. So now, let's get to our first fight. Our first fight of the night is in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class, where we have Yeti taking on Lucky. These 2 fought in Battlebots 2016, where Yeti won that thing by a brutal knockout. On one side, we have Yeti with that drum spinner. That drum spinner has a lot of power to it, and I bet we will see a lot of damage coming out of it this season. But those exposed wheels could be a problem for Yeti. Even though Lucky is a flipperbot, they did manage to get one of them off when they fought in 2016. Could that happen again? Also, Yeti isn't the greatest with push power too, which could be a problem if they get pinned in the corner or something like that against their opponent. Their opponent is Lucky, as stated before. They got a powerful flipper there that should be able to give Yeti a little bit of air time. That bot is very well armored here, as Yeti will probably have a very hard time getting to the control board there. But Lucky does struggle to self-right if they get flipped over. It is possible, but it is hard for them to do it. They also have those exposed wheels, and there's their exposed sides that Yeti will probably be going for in this fight. This should be an exciting fight to lead it off, so now let's get to the fight. Lucky coming right out of the gate, coming right at Yeti. Looks like they're going to try to box rush Yeti, and they were able to successfully do it as they have Yeti right up against the rails. But I saw a piece come out off of Lucky there. Might have been the face of their flipper. That appears to be what it is, but they got a few flips on Yeti there. Excellent start by Lucky, even though they did take a little damage there right in that first exchange, but now they're getting that flipper involved in this fight. But now Lucky getting a few more flips in there on Yeti, but how much damage has Yeti done so far with that drum spinner? So far, Lucky seems to be holding up very well to the punishment of Yeti's weapon. Lucky looks like they were going to try to push Yeti in the pit, but just miss, and now they have Yeti in the corner here, landing a bunch of big flips here. This looks good, very good for them in the eyes of the judges, and luckily they do self-right here. They definitely have had issues with self-right in the past, but that was clean right there. But now Yeti, trapped in the corner once again, they got to get out of there and fast. That was Lucky looking powerful after this one. They lost a wedgelet now after that last exchange. Got flipped, but they were able to self-right once again. But now Yeti right at the sides trying to get a wheel, but struggling to do so, and Lucky they're flipped again. Yeti back on the attack, doing some damage to the underside here, but Lucky, they are still moving and everything. Halfway through this fight, gotta say it's been very close so far. Lucky and Yeti both hang in there. Now Lucky getting a few more flips on Yeti. Lucky very active with that flipper, and we'd like to see damage done by the primary weapon, but how much damage is Lucky doing with that flipper? Compared to that drum spinner of Yeti, where we have seen a bunch of bits and pieces of Lucky flying off. But now Yeti on the attack, they get a wheel on Lucky. That's not good. And now Lucky, down the pit of Oblivion goes Lucky and Yeti, but Yeti was clearly the one down second, so Yeti wins by knockout. Gotta say, Lucky got a lot of action in with that flipper. Very strong performance out of them, and just keeping Yeti in the air so that way they couldn't use their drum spinner very easily. This area stacked up points big time for Lucky. Managed to pin Yeti in the corner, but of course that didn't last long as the damage done by Yeti's drum spinner started to catch up to Lucky very quickly. We saw a wedgelet come off of Lucky, we saw the face come off of Lucky's flipper towards the beginning of the fight, and then this area was what finished it off for Lucky. Yeti managed to get a wheel, but then it wasn't too long after that Yeti managed to get Lucky down the pit of Oblivion and win this fight by knockout. Impressive fight by both bots. Next up, we have another fight that has happened in competition before. We got Cherub and Eruption from the Robot Wars mod. These two bots met not once, but twice in Robot Wars Series 9, where both of them ended up with Cherub being clean out of the arena. On the left side, we have Cherub with their wedge. They have a lot of push power to it. That wedge is quite low to the ground, but of course, though, their exposed sides, those exposed wheels, could be a problem for Cherub if they are not careful in this one. On the other side, we have Eruption, the Robot Wars Series 10 champion. Eruption has a powerful flipper for their arsenal for this season, and that flipper is no joke, as it might be one of the most powerful in the Robot Wars mod. Their strength is definitely that flipper there, as I expect Cherub will probably get some airtime if Eruption manages to get that flipper underneath them. But of course, Eruption does have that exposed sides issue as well, so I imagine both of these bots will be trying to go for the other's exposed sides here, and whoever gets to that area most will win this fight. I am very much looking forward to this one, so now let's get to the fight. Here comes Eruption, both bots squaring up right in the middle, but Eruption getting underneath Cherub, trying to take them out of the arena, but looks like they just missed there. But Cherub is flipped over now. What can Cherub do here? They take another flip from Eruption. But now, Cherub is underneath Eruption here. This is not where Eruption wanted to be in this one, as Eruption needs to get free and fast. So like Eruption, they are now free, trying to push Cherub around here, but Cherub gets underneath them. Cherub's low ground being in effect in this one, but there's a flip by Eruption. Cherub now upside down. Good thing they can drive upside down here in this one. Now Eruption trying to lead them towards the arena wall, it appears. Trying to get them out of the arena, but Cherub is just denying that from happening. Here comes Eruption, pushing Cherub around. Nearly gets them out of the arena once again, trying to get them out, but Cherub just not making that easy here. They are putting up a heck of a fight here. We are a minute into this fight. Gotta say Eruption leads on points, but not by much, as Cherub has had some moments too. Eruption just landing flip after flip here, just trying to get them out of the arena. Unsuccessful so far. The pit button probably has been opened sometime during that exchange. Eruption just getting underneath Cherub with ease now that Cherub is upside down, but now Cherub right themselves. Now, Eruption underneath Cherub once again, taking them into the rails again. Cherub flipped over, but now Eruption just right at the backside of Cherub. It's got them against the rails in the corner. Lands another big flip there. And another one. Some major flips from major airtime by Cherub. We're now approaching the 1 minute mark in this fight here. But now Cherub underneath Eruption once again, but Eruption gets free. Trying to get underneath him once again. The spike trap helps them. And Eruption lands another major flip. Here comes Eruption again. Taking them. Another shot. Trying to get them out. And they finally do. Eruption wins by knockout. And I gotta say, Cherub lasted a lot longer between that one and their other two meetings here. We saw Eruption tossing Cherub around from the beginning of this fight. We did see a few moments by Cherub. Like, for example, right here, where Cherub proved their low ground here, managed to get under Eruption a few times, but after Eruption got free every time, Eruption managed to land some major flips on them. It took a while before Eruption managed to finally get Cherub out of the arena like what they were planning on doing against a bot like them, but they managed to successfully do it, even though it did take a while to get it done here. Fantastic knockout by Eruption. Cherub will definitely be in the talks for a possible wild card after their spectacular performance in this one. For our next fight, we go to the DSL mod for the first time of the night, where we have the drum spinner of El Diablo, who will be taking on the flipper of T-Minus. On one side, we have El Diablo and their drum spinner. That drum spinner does have a lot of power to it, and they have some spikes on the back that are quite low to the ground as well. But of course they do have those exposed treads, but in T-Minus's sake, those exposed sides that T-Minus might try to take advantage of. I may have mentioned them already, but T-Minus is their opponent. T-Minus is well known for that flipper, as that thing has quite a bit of power to it. We'll find out how it fares against El Diablo. But of course, T-Minus's sides are actually quite delicate here, as they will want to try to keep El Diablo off of those sides as much as possible, and also try to win this fight by knockout as quick as possible before El Diablo gets some damage from that drum spinner going. This should be an epic fight, so now let's get to it. Here comes T-Minus on the attack. They misflip here, and El Diablo gets some shots to the underside of T-Minus here. Not the way T-Minus was hoping to start this fight. It's now T-Minus trying to get that flipper in. There's a flip there, and another one. Few flips there by T-Minus here, but now El Diablo getting underneath T-Minus once again. T-Minus has got to be very careful about the timing of their flipper here, as that was a problem at the beginning of this fight. But now El Diablo getting underneath T-Minus, and T-Minus gets flipped over. Luckily they can self-right through the use of that flipper there. But how much damage have they taken so far? There's a nice flip by T-Minus here. They gotta try to win this fight by knockout as quickly as possible, as back on the attack is El Diablo, and right now T-Minus trying to pin them against the sides. They have them against the rails here in the corner, but now T-Minus trying to keep them there, trying to avoid damage from that drum spinner, but now it looks like a wheel guard came off there after that last exchange, and off came the other wheel guard. So now T-Minus's wheels are both exposed here. They gotta be very careful about letting El Diablo at their sides here, because El Diablo could easily make mincemeat out of those tires. Now T-Minus flipped over, they can self-right here, but here's El Diablo on the attack, doing more damage, chewing up the underside. What a performance from that drum spinner so far as we approach the halfway point. I gotta say El Diablo is in the lead so far on points, but not by much. It's T-Minus, they're forced to self-right once again. But now El Diablo just on the chase, on the attack, just not letting T-Minus get around to their sides and get a flip on them. So right now, T-Minus, they do got some points as they have landed some effective flips, but not very much, as I gotta say, El Diablo's in the lead here. We got a little less than a minute to go here. T-Minus may be forced to win this fight by knockout, but their flipper just came off. That is a major piece of damage there, as now T-Minus is without a primary weapon with 40 seconds left to go in this fight. T-Minus might be forced to try to win this fight by knockout, but their big option now might be to put Team El Diablo down the pit of oblivion. What else can they really do here? So now they're taking massive hits from that drum spinner. They gotta be careful here. 20 seconds left to go in this one. El Diablo back on the attack, doing some more damage. T-Minus off came a side panel, it looks like, and a wheel too. And now T-Minus up against the rails. I don't think they can move from that position. El Diablo just hanging back here, but this fight is going to the judges. T-Minus barely survives this fight, knowing all the damage they took, but this one is in the hands of the judges, and who knows what way they could turn. Definitely, T-Minus did get a bunch of action in with that flipper, but it was El Diablo who caused a lot of damage with that drum spinner of theirs. Now, as we saw them first take off the wheel guards on T-Minus, like right in this area here, and then it wasn't long before they took off the weapon of T-Minus, and even a wheel too. The El Diablo did a ton of major damage to T-Minus that should be major points in front of the judges. I suspect this judge's decision will probably be easier than others, but you never know what happens when a fight goes in their hands here. We saw T-Minus's flipper come off there, which left them without a weapon for the rest of the fight. And then it wasn't long before El Diablo managed to just finish off T-Minus, just pin them against the rails, and that does not look good for T-Minus in the hands of the judges. So now we have the decision, and it was unanimous. The winner is El Diablo. I gotta agree with the decision on that one. What a fight that was. T-Minus could definitely be in the hunt for a wild card. Coming up next, we go back to the Robot Wars class where we have Dystopia, who will take on Sewer Snake. We have Dystopia with their flipper. That thing has a lot of power to it, and that could be a real problem for Sewer Snake if Sewer Snake ended up letting them get under. But of course, Dystopia has their exposed sides, which could be a major issue for them if they are not careful here. On the other side, we have Sewer Snake, well-known Robo Games competitor here. Their arsenal features a wedge and a lifter here. That bot is very fast, it is very maneuverable here, it is very low to the ground. This thing could be a major threat if their opponents are not careful. But of course, their exposed sides and those exposed tires could be their big problem for them in this tournament here. So now, let's see who will take this one. Let's get to the fight. Sewer Snake charging right out of the gate here, getting a flip on Dystopia. Sewer Snake, are they lower to the ground here? They just went head on and got an early flip. And now another flip. Dystopia in trouble early. Sewer Snake just not giving them an opportunity. They have them right at the backside and tossing them clean out of the arena. And a quick 21-second knockout for Sewer Snake. I did not see this coming. I thought this fight was going to last a lot longer here. Sewer Snake, rather than trying to maneuver to the side, just went head on and managed to get a few flips in early. We saw them just laying flip after flip on Dystopia, just not giving them a chance. And then it wasn't long, and I really mean it wasn't long, before Sewer Snake managed to get Dystopia clean out of the arena for a very quick KO. Next up, we go back to the Battlebots and Bugglebots class, where we have Hello There take on Lockjaw. On one side, we have Hello There, a Bugglebots 2019 competitor. They have their axe there that has a reasonable amount of power to it. Their front and top are quite well armored, but they do have those exposed wheels, and they struggle to self-right if they get flipped over, which could be problems for them if they are not careful. Their opponent is Lockjaw, a Battlebots legend. Lockjaw has that vertical spinner there that could be a major threat to Hello There. That spinner has a lot of power to it, a lot of destructive force to it, but of course though, they do struggle when upside down. They can self-right though, and they also have those exposed wheels, which could be a problem for them if they are not careful here. I am very much looking forward to this one, so now let's get to it. Here we go. Hello There coming right out of the gate. They're landing a few hits on Lockjaw with that axe. I don't know how well Lockjaw's armor is on top here, so those could be devastating shots for Lockjaw. I see smoke coming out of them. Hello There seems to be doing damage with that axe here. Could we see an early upset coming here? Could we see the legend getting taken out here? But no, there's a wheel, and Hello There just got flipped over. But Lockjaw, deciding they are not done with them yet, they helped Hello There self-right here, but they are flipped over once again. Lockjaw's in smoke coming out of the backside. That hammer has clearly done damage here. Part of a wheel has come off on Hello There. Lockjaw got to be careful here. That axe has proven to do some damage here. And now Lockjaw takes a shot from a floor flipper, and one of the googly eyes on Hello There came flying off, and they are flipped over once again. Here comes Lockjaw deciding they're not done with them yet. They want more damage here. Another wheel comes off. Hello There lost part of their front too. And another wheel. Hello There down to one wheel left here with more than half of this fight to go. I think they are in some deep trouble here. They are flipped over and they are not moving here. I think Lockjaw just hang back here, awaiting that countdown. They have that spinner going in case of Hello There tries something. But it looks like Lockjaw is going to win this fight by knockout, and they have. Impressive fight here, even by both bots. As we saw Hello There coming right out of the gate, managed to cause something to Lockjaw's internals here, as they did manage to do some damage with that hammer. But then it wasn't long before Lockjaw started getting underneath them with their spinner. Managed to remove a wheel and flip them over. And even though Hello There can't self-right from being flipped over, Lockjaw decided to keep the fight going and managed to land a few more major shots, do some more major damage to Hello There. And then it wasn't long before Lockjaw started claiming more tires on Hello There. And then after that happened and Hello There was flipped over again, Lockjaw just left them behind. Let the countdown come, and they won by KO. Hello There could definitely be in the talks for a wild card, as they did some major damage to Lockjaw at the beginning of this fight, stacked up some points there. That could definitely be used when it comes to deciding the wild cards. Coming up next, we stay in the Battlebots class. We have Breakerbox taking on Cobalt. We got Breakerbox, a wedge, and a lifter there. There's no mini bot there like there is in the image. That bot is pretty well armored, but they do have those exposed sides, and their opponents have managed to get to those wheels before, which could be a problem for them if they are not careful. On the other side, we have Cobalt, and this bot was a menace last season. That was, they made the top 8 before getting taken out by Hydra last season, and they are back and looking to cause more chaos. They have that vertical spinner there, which has caused a major amount of damage. As said before, if the award was real, they would have won the most destructive Battlebot award last season. But, of course though, not every bot is perfect. Cobalt has their exposed sides, and if that spinner is not functional, they can't self-right if they are flipped over. Before we get to this fight, let's show some highlights from last season of one of the most destructive spinners in competition. Last season, Cobalt went on an absolute rampage with that spinner, just causing major amounts of mayhem and damage to their opponents, probably claiming the most parts out of anybody in the competition, and they showed absolutely no mercy to almost every one of their opponents in the arena that they faced off with. But they weren't so lucky when they took on Hydra, and Hydra used their low ground to get them clean out of the arena. Cobalt is back for another season, and they are looking to cause even more destruction and mayhem with that spinner and go a few steps further to a War Machines title. Let's get to their first fight. Here we go. Breakerbox with a more aggressive attempt right out of the gate. That's a little surprising here. Cobalt trying to get underneath them with that spinner, and they get a wheel on Breakerbox early, and off comes another wheel guard for one of their other tires. Breakerbox taking some major damage early in this one, and here comes Cobalt right back on the attack here. Breakerbox trying to use that lifter, but they've already taken so much damage here that now Cobalt getting underneath them, and I see smoke coming out of Breakerbox. That's not a good way to start this one, and off comes another wheel. Breakerbox's control board is in trouble, and they have drive on just one side now. That is not the way to start this fight against a bot like Cobalt. And down goes the control board in the face of their lifter, and Cobalt wins by knockout. Fantastic fight here. Fantastic opening fight for Cobalt. Just getting in there right away with that vertical spinner, and it was not long before Breakerbox had drive on one side. We saw lots of bits and pieces come off of Breakerbox and just scatter all over the arena here. Cobalt is definitely back and stronger than ever. It was this point in the fight where Breakerbox not only lost a wheel on one side completely, but we also saw a lot of smoke showing damage to their internals. As we could see, their control box was clearly damaged, and then at this point, Breakerbox was finished. Fantastic fight for Cobalt. Our first highlight fight of the night features the full body spinner of Kronos, who will take on the Crusher of Petunia. Let's get right to it. So in this one, Petunia, they came right out of the gate right at Kronos, but immediately got sent right to their backside here, and they really struggled to self-right, just struggled to get off their backside here, even though they could drive. But because they couldn't get off there, they just took hit after hit from Kronos, just couldn't get anything going here. The fight did go the full 3 minutes as Petunia did survive it, but the judges awarded Kronos with a unanimous victory. Next up, we have Tuberg 2 Furious, who will take on the full body spinner of Shell Shock. This should be an interesting one, as now Tuberg 2 Furious just going weapon on weapon with Shell Shock to begin this fight, but Shell Shock seemed to be getting the better of a lot of these exchanges here. As Tuberg 2 Furious, they did manage to get some weapon points in here, but they were getting tossed around and taking more shots. This was kind of the turning point. Randomly spun out of control here. This was kind of the turning point and some opportunities for Tuberg 2 Furious, and Shell Shock ended up down the pit of oblivion, and Tuberg 2 Furious won by knockout. Next up, we have the Thwackbot of Slap Happy and the Lifter of Storm 2 over in the DSL class. To start this one off, Storm 2 just coming right out of the gate, right at Slap Happy. But Slap Happy proved that those Thwackers were a dangerous weapon, as they were able to get a bunch of damage points in there on Storm 2. A bunch of effective shots here. And Storm 2, all they could really do was just keep charging right into Slap Happy, even with that Thwacker still spinning at full force there. But lucky for Storm 2, they were not the ones who ended up down the pit of oblivion, and they were able to win this one by knockout. Next up, we have Bullfrog and Mr. Nasty from the Robot Wars class. This one should be an interesting one. Now, as we saw Mr. Nasty trying to outmaneuver Bullfrog, but it soon did not go in their favor, as Bullfrog quickly got Mr. Nasty out of the arena and got a 34-second KO. Our last highlight play of the night features the Hammer of Jasper, who will take on the Vertical Spinner of Ribot, and yes, Vertical Spinner, that's the only weapon they have for this one. Right now, Jasper appeared to be winning it early in this one, as Jasper managed to land a few shots getting underneath Ribot, but it was not long before Ribot completely turned the tide. A big hit left Jasper upside down, and Ribot said sayonara to them by booting them clean out of the arena and winning by knockout. Big congrats to the 5 bots who all advanced from those highlight fights, and as for the other 5, we could definitely see wildcards being given out to them. These fights will be available at the end of the season, as the highlight fights will be shown in the last few episodes. Let's now get to our next fight, as this next one will be an interesting one. We got Deep 6 and Unconscious 514 in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class. On the left side, we have Deep 6, and that is the largest spinner in the competition, and that thing has a lot of power to it. But of course, those exposed sides and their own stability could be their downfall if they don't drive carefully in this one. On the other side, we have Unconscious 514, a Crusher bot. That thing is very well armored, and that Crusher could do some serious damage if their opponents are not careful enough. But of course though, Unconscious 514 has exposed wheels themselves, that is exposed backside, and if they get flipped over, they do struggle to self-right. All of those could be stuff that Deep 6 will be trying to take advantage in this one. I am looking forward to this one, as this should be a very fun fight. Let's get right to it. Here we go. Deep 6 getting that spinner up to speed. We see a little jab right to the front of Unconscious 514. They are looking to go head on with Deep 6, it appears. Is that wise though, as they take a big hit from Deep 6's vertical spinner, but luckily they ran right side up. Another shot, and Unconscious 514 is flipped over. Can they self-right here? As Deep 6 coming in there, looking to land a few jabs there, trying to go for the exposed wheels, and catapults them out of the arena. Deep 6 wins in a 30-second knockout here. Wow, I did not see this coming here. Think it wasn't wise for Unconscious 514 to go head on like that. I could see what they were planning, but it sure did not go their way here, as they took a few big shots that left Unconscious 514 flipped over. Deep 6 decided they wanted a tire, but rather than getting a wheel off, they just shot them clean out of the arena and won this fight in a quick and impressive KO. Next up, we stay in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class, where we'll have the Vertical Spinner of Holy Driver and the Axe and Lifters of Mad Catter. We got Holy Driver, and I mentioned already that they are a vertical spinner. That vertical spinner does have some destructive power to it that Mad Catter will want to watch out for. But they do have their exposed sides, and they can drive upside down too, but those will still be things that Mad Catter might want to take advantage of. We got Mad Catter with their hammer and lifter. Multiple weapons are quite useful for depending on who they are going up against, as they're going up against Holy Driver for this one. But Mad Catter does struggle to self-right if they happen to get flipped over. That will probably be Holy Driver's strategy for this one. Try to get Mad Catter on their head and try to win this one by KO. This should be an interesting one, so now let's get to the fight. Here we go, Holy Driver coming right out of the gate, getting that vertical spinner up to speed. Looks like they're going to try to maneuver around Mad Catter, but Mad Catter gets a few shots in, as does Holy Driver get a blow in with that spinner. Mad Catter landing a few shots, but now they are flipped over, struggling to self-right, and Holy Driver helps himself right, but at the cost of landing some more shots here. See a piece of somebody here. I want to guess that is a piece of Mad Catter, but can't be sure. As right now, I see some smoke coming out of Holy Driver here. That's not how they want to start this one. But now they are getting battered by that hammer on Mad Catter. That's not the way they want to start this one. And here we go. Holy Driver right at the sides, getting a few more jabs and flipping Mad Catter over, opening up the pit. I think they are eyeing putting Mad Catter down the pit of oblivion here. They help themselves right, but toss them down the pit, and Holy Driver wins in less than a minute by KO. And this one was an interesting one, relatively close to the beginning of this one. And as Mad Catter managed to land some shots with that hammer, but then took some hits from that vertical spinner. I imagine both of these bots were trying to flip each other over, but Holy Driver was getting the flips first, and they got points out of it big time. We did see a bunch of points from Mad Catter with their axe, but it was Holy Driver that managed to get the flip and the killer blow in this one. Then it wasn't long before Holy Driver opened up the pit, and then simply a few more shots right to the sides and a few more pushes put Mad Catter down the pit, and Holy Driver will advance. Now coming up next, we go back to the Robot Wars class, where we will have the Revolutionist take on Shunt. On one side, we have the Revolutionist, a full body spinner. Those teeth on the side of the spinner have a lot of power to it and can tear through their opponents if they are not careful. Their main weakness is that if they get flipped over, they cannot self-right. On the other side, we have Shunt, the other house robot whom is competing in this competition. We got Shunt with a hammer and a low to the ground scoop. They have a very effective weaponry, but exposed sides are their primary issue. Let's now get to this exciting fight. Here we go. Now we got Shunt coming. Shunt slow right out of the gate. A little surprising, as I would have expected a box rush here, but now they've slowed down Revolutionist spinner, sort of, and now pulverizing them with that hammer. How much damage are they doing to Revolutionists? Now they have Revolutionists pinned against the rails here. Shunt showing that they have the superior push power between these two, but now Revolutionist is up to speed here, landing a few big hits with that spinner, but now Shunt's got them again, pushing them around right back into the rails. Shunt, how much damage are they doing with that hammer though? Now as we see them landing a lot of blows, but how much damage? They take a shot from the floor flipper. Could this be Revolutionist's opportunity? Shunt seems to struggle to self-right too, trying to use that axe to their advantage here, try to help them self-right here, but now they self-right to the aid of Revolutionist. But now Shunt right back on the attack, pointing that scoop right towards Revolutionist, pushing them around. Now they're underneath them. Can they get to the underside, baby? As that's probably the most exposed area on Revolutionist, pushing them into the rails, and Revolutionist, their backside's exposed and there's smoke coming out. Revolutionist control board is in trouble, and that was superior damage, and Shunt destroys the control board and wins it by KO. Wow, it is amazing what robots can do in a short period of time. This looked like a relative stalemate here, as we couldn't really tell how much damage Shunt was doing with that axis. It did not seem like a lot, but they were able to effectively keep Revolutionists from getting up to speed But Revolutionists did have a major moment in this one, a major opportunity here. But Shunt did end up getting free from this trap here. And then soon, this was the critical moment here that won Shunt the fight here. Revolutionists showed their backside and Shunt battered it. We saw a lot of smoke coming out of Revolutionists, showing that their interiors were very much exposed here. And then it wasn't long before Revolutionists' control board came to a halt and Shunt won it by KO. One last fight for tonight, and it is our main event, which is in the Battlebots and Bugglebots class once again. We have Gigabyte on one side and their full body spinner. That full body spinner has a lot of power to it and could do some serious damage if it gets up to speed. However, their own stability may be an issue in this one. While they do have a self-righting stick, that still could be something that Whiplash may try to take advantage of when trying to keep that spinner off of them. On the other side, we have Whiplash, their opponent as said. They have a spinner and a lifter, which is a very effective weapon combination, along with the fact that it is very fast and quite maneuverable. Of course, though, they do have those exposed wheels, and their front armor and spinner is a little bit delicate, so that could be stuff to watch in this one. This should be a very exciting main event, and I am looking forward to this fight. But before we get to the fight, let's see some highlights from one of these two contenders. Last season, Whiplash used that spinner and lifter very effectively when it came to controlling lots of their fights. But of course, a second round upset led to their downfall last season. But Whiplash is definitely more than capable to go many steps further in the competition and claim a War Machines title. Now, let's get to the fight. Main event now begins. Gigabyte getting that spinner up to speed and stumbling out of control. Almost sent themselves out of the arena right at the beginning, and here comes Whiplash looking to take advantage of that, chewing up the underside Gigabyte with their spinner. But now they're taking shots to the front from Gigabyte's spinner, but they sent them out of control once again. They have them up against the rails here. Whiplash using Gigabyte's stability problem to their advantage here, but one big problem here is Gigabyte's spinner is clearly doing some damage as I'm seeing some pieces of Whiplash around the arena. Those might be parts of the spinner, as that thing looks a little bit not the same as it did at the beginning of the fight here, but they are still on the attack on Gigabyte's trail here. See, another piece went off of Whiplash here. Gigabyte seems to be causing some damage, but Whiplash showing tons of aggression and control. Lots of points being stacked up, honestly, by both bots here. Gigabyte getting that spinner up to speed, but now they take a major shot there. But now, Whiplash coming right back on the attack here, ramming Gigabyte against the rails. I saw a piece of the self-righting stick, and off come part of one of the wedgelets on Whiplash. That is not going to be good here. Gigabyte needs to get back in control here. They've been showing tons of uncontrolled movement so far. Even though they won't get counted out for that, that's still something that would really hurt you if the fight happened to go to the judges. There goes a few big hits by a Gigabyte here. Because I wonder, could that lost piece of Whiplash's front armor be something Gigabyte could take advantage of here? As they seem to be able to stay a little more stable here thanks to that thing being gone. Now we got a push off here, real stalemate here, and Gigabyte almost got underneath Whiplash there. Whiplash takes a major shot to the front and another big hit, and Gigabyte on their side, but they do get self-right. They're underneath Whiplash with that spinner up to speed. They are doing some damage to the underside there. That can't be good for Whiplash. As Whiplash, could they be falling behind on points here? A little more than 30 seconds ago, one of the wedgelets is now completely gone. Gotta say that Gigabyte has won the damage category so far. But as for the aggression and control side, that's probably got to go to Whiplash. But now Gigabyte, they get away, they get that spinner up to speed, but Whiplash is on the attack once again, and they flip Whiplash. And now Gigabyte spinning out of control once again. We got 10 seconds left. It's looking like unless if something big happens, I think this fight is going to the judges. And the clock has now hit 0. This fight is in the hands of the 3 judges. And I gotta say, this may not be an easy one. So we saw Gigabyte stumble out of the gate really early, almost take themselves out of the arena there. And that was just the start of it. Whiplash just took advantage of Gigabyte's stability issues here and just used that to their advantage to stack up control and aggression points. But of course, the big problem there, while they were able to do that, we saw pieces of Whiplash all over the arena. Clearly Whiplash was taking damage from Gigabyte throughout those impacts there. And that was definitely a major problem for Whiplash. I gotta say, this could be a much closer fight, knowing Gigabyte probably won the damage category in the judging criteria, but Whiplash probably took over in control and aggression point. But you gotta say though, at this point, around this area, Gigabyte started taking some control of their own, so there could be credit given to Gigabyte. This will probably be a very close decision and not an easy one for the judges. Let's now hear what they had to say. The votes are in, and the decision was split. Judge Green Square scored this battle in favor of Whiplash. Judge Porinog scored this battle in favor of Gigabyte. Judge Daily Dose of Battlebots scored this battle in favor of the winner of this main event, whom is Whiplash. Gotta say, very close decision, impressive performance out of both bots. I bet Gigabyte will be in a great spot for one of the wild cards for this class. Excellent fight, excellent performance out of both machines. What a set of fights we just saw. Lots of great machines fought in the arena tonight and proved that they have what it takes to win it all. Some of them may not have come out on top, but some may have provided the necessary performance for them to be able to receive one of the wild cards for their class. As for the stars of the night, Yeti, Whiplash, and Lockjaw all had amazing returns to the arena tonight. Sewer Snake and Eruption both had 2 impressive debuts. Deep Six pulled off a major victory to show that they will definitely be one to watch. Last but not least, we cannot forget about Cobalt, who had another destructive victory tonight, which proved that they are stronger than ever. We are now officially 2/3 of the way through the opening round. The last third will begin in the next episode. I will hopefully see you then.